Welcome back. In this session, we'll introduce the next stage of parenting, which is parenting teenagers. We'll be covering 1. How many couples find themselves responding defensively when managing teenagers? And 2. How teenage brain development requires you to have joined-up parental empathy. The first thing you might notice about your sweet young child becoming an unruly teenager is their change in mood. Culturally, we have a big story about how difficult teenagers are. They are parodied and even demonised. Think about youths with hoodies. And it is true that managing the complexity of this life stage is tough and that it will challenge your relationship with your partner. But it is not inevitably a nightmare, as some might have you believe. In the following clip, we will see our new couple, Gareth and Jen, argue about one of their children's wishes to have a relationship with a boyfriend. Ruby is 14 and Gareth is worried she's too young and that they are sending her the wrong message. Jen has some quite different ideas.
Gareth?
Yeah, Jen?
Friday. What are you up to? Anything? Ruby, sleepover. It's okay with you?
No. Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Is it with Sophie?
No, it's with the boyfriend.
I hope you said nice try, but no thank you.
No, I don't know. I said, yeah, she could. We trust her.
Boys are only after one thing.
Oh, babe, it's not like when we grew up. You know, how are we going to tell her that we trust her if we're saying no? And
I trust Ruby. It's Freddie I don't trust.
well, they'll be in separate rooms. Does that help?
No, not really. You know, remember what your parents are like and what you got up to.
Yeah, well, I got up to what I got up to because I couldn't talk to my parents. They didn't trust me. I didn't talk to them. I had to do everything behind their back, but I still got up to it. At least Ruby's talking to us. Come on.
Look, I don't really agree.
But I've already said yes. As I said, they're going to be in separate rooms anyway.
No, I don't agree. Can't we meet their parents? You know, set some boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we can give them a call and ask them to come around for coffee or something.
Okay. Well, until then, no sleepover.
Cool.
As we have seen in previous sessions, understanding each other's core beliefs, values and family scripts about teenagedom will be helpful for Gareth and Jen. How they experience the process of separating from their parents and ultimately leaving home will have a huge bearing on how they feel about this next step as a family. Let's now consider how teenage brain development requires you to have a joined-up parental empathy. The teenage brain, just like their body, goes through major changes during puberty. Sarah Jane Blakemore, a professor of cognitive neuroscience at the University College London, describes how teenage frontal lobes, where a lot of empathic thinking takes place, are experiencing a new growth spurt, and they have not yet achieved strong lasting pathway connections to other parts of the growing adult brain. As a result, a teenager's ability to say this is a bad idea and maybe I shouldn't do it has not yet caught up. At the same time, a teenager's ability to feel excited and experiment with emerging identity is reaching a once-in-a-lifetime peak. Often for teenagers, the risk of not fitting in with their peers is actually worse than the risk of doing something adults have told them is dangerous. As the emerging teenager doesn't rationally decide to behave in these new risk-taking ways, it's also likely that they will find themselves denying to themselves and to you that this ever happened. As parents, you may be under the illusion that your own transition from risk-taking, moody, rude teenager to a rational, thoughtful member of society happened overnight, but in fact the process is much slower. Your teenager will need a hefty dose of joined-up parental optimism, compassion and empathy so that they will eventually master their own emotions and their own impulsivity. It's this joined-up optimism and tolerance that some of us found was missing when we look back at our own experiences of being parented when we were teenagers. In this session, we've introduced you to recent neuroscience insights into the teenage brain development and related risk-taking behaviours. We've linked this to your own experience of teenage development and how you may have learnt defensive parental responses from interacting with your teenage child. In the next session, we'll consider the positive and negative elements of how we act defensively with our teenager to keep them safe and ourselves safe using a model from the psychotherapist Liz White. See you then.